Hello, Leo. This is your reading for the week of February 2nd, or whenever you hear it and it resonates. So, Leo, the first thing I saw was you with a megaphone, but you stopped talking. There's no sound coming out. Then I see the next scene is you not with a megaphone. I see you with a candle, the way you would see a person in an old movie going upstairs to bed with the nightcap on and the candle going to bed. And that's what I feel. It's like you're allowed to blow out the candle and just have a good rest, and you don't worry about straightening anybody else out or giving anybody else instructions, guidance, whatever. It's time for you to rest. Now, the reason I think this is relevant is because when I look at the cards, the first card that you get is virtue. And what it's asking you to do is to look at what you consider to be virtuous, honorable, good. Basically, what rules or values do you live by that you think are important? And do you only value them if other people do? That's one question. And the other question is, do you not value other people if they don't share the same morals? What you're being told here is part of you being able to, blow the candle out and take a nap is you being able to understand that in spite of the fact that you might want to intervene or speak or guide, that you're being asked, take a kind approach, which is more observer rather than critic. It's really opening up to possibilities of what might be going on. And that's important because you also got the forgiveness card, which is saying to you, there's more going on likely than what you realize. Of course, this won't be for every Leo, right? But that there is very likely more going on here than what you realize. And that just for now, name whatever you think the problem is, but then let it go and choose the kind approach. Don't worry so much about whether or not you're right, they're right, or whether or not you're right in this assessment. Don't worry about right and wrong. In other words, whenever you have the option, choose kind. Okay? Doesn't mean don't acknowledge, but what it's saying is really, really understand that there's more going on here. And you're being told if you find yourself having a hard time letting go of the megaphone, and if you're having a hard time just letting yourself let yourself relax, take a nap, take a breath, not being so concerned about organizing and arranging everything. Check in where you feel a compulsion to do that, and notice where it might be coming from either issues in the past that you are now judging somebody for, or whether or not it's your fear of what's coming in the future. And try to bring yourself into present time as much as possible. Because when you're in present time, you're in feeling. Very often our rules and our judgments and our critiques are really coming out of past and future, not present. When we're present and in our state of feeling in our presence, that didn't sound really very intelligent, did it? When we are in our present state, we are able to be much more in touch with what our current feelings are and get out of what the rule book says. Because sometimes what looks like or what seems like a really reasonable rule at one point now suddenly is not a good rule. It needs to change. Just think about all the high fiber cereals they told us to eat all those years ago. And now they're saying, you know what? Some of that stuff is just really aggravating for your colon. So the rules change. Okay? And that's just one silly little example. But the reality is we do need to look at what we think is right and wrong and not just assume because it's been right and wrong for us for the last 20 years that it's going to be now. Because we're changing and everybody around us is in a process of changing. So we need to be able to negotiate those things. But for now, stay present, rest, blow out the candle, put on your nightcap, and do your best just to stay in kindness and observer and curious rather than must fix, must do, must change. Okay? That's going to allow the energy to move a little bit more easily for you. And that's going to be the kind of thing that's going to help you deal with any fear that comes up around the situation, Leo, because I know that for you, it's important for you with your energy, because you've got so much of it and because it's so strong and powerful. There's a tendency to really want to harness it, not just because it can accomplish a lot, but because it feels more comfortable to have it channeled. But you're being asked, in this case, do your very best to do things differently than you normally would. Change things up, shift it around. And I think it's perfect time to really talk about the rest, the real rest for Leo. It's very important that you do that, because you run at such a high frequency. It's very easy for you to not take your nervous system into relaxation mode, okay? And so that's, I think, one of the other reasons why it's so important to have the candle and the nap, okay? Sorry about that. I was hearing a sound that didn't sound familiar. It's the beast. She's doing something. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that, my dears. Take care.